Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing 10 things to consider before starting your fashion business. So let's just get right into it. Number one, startup costs. It takes money to make money. That's the honest truth. You need to consider paying your manufacturers, your suppliers. You want to pay for fabrics if you're making it yourself and sending it straight to the customer from there. So you want to consider packaging before sending it to your customer, and obviously all the shipping involved. You need to consider that. The big one that everybody underestimates is marketing, I think. I didn't think about marketing properly before I started, and that is wrong. Like, you don't want to underestimate marketing. The solution my advice to you before starting your fashion business is to do research into how much marketing actually costs. So that includes ads, includes influencer marketing, free PR that you want to give away, how much can you afford to give away. You want to really consider all forms of marketing and then budget. Consider the costs and then budget, and that's what I didn't do. So for example, I reached out to some influencers recently just to have an idea of how much influencer marketing was going to cost me, and for the same piece of content I was quoted £200 to £1,000. So definitely do your research before starting, because you don't want a rude awakening, you know, after you've launched and you haven't considered these costs. So definitely do your research. Number two, have a pre-launch strategy. Definitely have a pre-launch strategy. This is a huge one, and one that I did not consider before starting my business. Why this is so important is because you want to have your audience ready before you launch, so that you have a group of people that are interested in what you're selling, so that as soon as you launch, you can already expect sales. So having a pre-launch strategy includes free PR. You want to be sending out free PR before starting, and there's a whole load of things that we can discuss, and I will actually make another video because pre-launch strategy is so important. There should be some anticipation of your launch. If nobody knows you're going to launch, that's not good. That's not what you want. And basically what I did was tell on my personal Instagram, I only had about 300 followers at the time. I literally said, hey guys, I'm going to be launching my business, and I think this was like a week or a month before launching, and that was it. Like, I think I must have done that. I must have posted about 3 times, and that was it. And that was only to my personal, that was only to my followers on my personal Instagram, which looking now makes absolutely no sense, because a large portion of my followers are not my target market. So what you really want to do is really go all out with a solid pre-launch strategy before you start. Number 3, mass production can be really challenging. So this particular point is quite specific to working with African designers, African suppliers in my case. So this may not apply to you if your suppliers are somewhere else, but I found working with a lot of people on the African continent that, it was very challenging. A lot of the industry works on tailoring, so that involves making your piece on demand. So if I wanted one item of clothing, they would have no problem making it. The problem arose when I wanted multiple items. If I wanted 100 items, that would be where the problem arose. So you really do want to do your research. Now I know there are manufacturers that do make things in larger quantities. The problem is a lot of people I spoke to were literally a one-man band. The company was a one-man band, so they may have had a couple of people working for them, but even then it was still a challenge to mass produce things. So definitely do your research. There are manufacturers who do things in large quantities, but you need to do your research beforehand. You don't want to have a rude awakening when you have a large demand for something but you cannot meet that demand. That is just a disaster. So definitely do your research before. Number 4, shipping can be a nightmare. I was actually speaking to one of the designers the other day, and she was just reminding me how one of our pieces ended up in Germany when it was supposed to be come to England, where I live. Germany, guys, Germany. Yeah, I don't know how it got to Germany, but anyway, we paid a courier who was a smaller company, so it wasn't a large courier like DHL. Do your research. Maybe when you're ordering your samples, test a couple of companies. Don't just pick one that's cheapest, because when you do launch and when customers are expecting their product on a certain date, they don't care if you're having shipping issues. You really want shipping to be really, really smooth, because customer service is everything. So just weigh up your options. Cost and speed of delivery and reliability. You know, sometimes it may be worth paying a bit more for a shipping company who you know will be more reliable, or statistically show that they're more reliable, because obviously no one's ever going to be perfect, but definitely something to consider. Number 5, WhatsApp is an amazing communication tool, I found. Again, this is slightly more specific to those that are working with African manufacturers. I found that WhatsApp was an amazing communication tool. A lot of them do not respond to email, or they don't really have an email address that they use a lot. So the best tool to have is WhatsApp. If you do not have WhatsApp, the app that you can get from the App Store, it's worth getting it. It's not expensive. It's nearly pretty much free. And the beauty of WhatsApp is you can also do WhatsApp video, so things are a lot more personalized. That way, communication is smooth between you and your manufacturer. So I would definitely advise WhatsApp. Number 6 would be to find your niche. There are so many African brands in my case, so many people selling the same item. I mean, how many people are selling accessories and clothes? So many people. So you really want to know your niche so that you stand out from the crowd. Be known for something. Find your USP. It's really important you find your unique selling point. What makes you different from somebody else? Even if you are selling the exact same item, make it really clear, so that if somebody's coming to your store, they know exactly what they're going to find. They're not going to be like, oh, I thought they were selling furniture. Oh, they're suddenly selling clothes. What's this? You know, be really clear as to what your USP is and your niche. So one of the things that can so easily happen is that you get distracted by like Amy selling, I don't know, bonnets down the road, and you're like, oh my goodness, that looks like it's selling. Maybe I should start selling bonnets. Just focus on what you're selling, because it's so easy to get distracted. Focus on what you're selling and just really push for that first. There's no reason why you can't sell other things in future, but just have a focus. Be really clear as to what it is that you're selling. Next point. This one is a given, but it's easier said than done. Be prepared to work hard. So working in this business, working in this industry is challenging. I am relatively new to this industry, but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I mean, already we're talking about consider this, consider that. You have to be prepared to work hard, just like your 9 to 5. I mean, when I was working in my 9 to 5 full time, I was working on this business after work, during my weekends, during the bank holidays. It was non-stop. Be prepared to work and don't give up, because there's so many people that are going to fall by the wayside, and it's so easy to fall by the wayside as well, because it's just a lot of work. So just keep going. The next point is be prepared to put yourself out there. Get out of your comfort zone. I grew up in England, but I went to Nigeria by myself. I didn't go with any family, and we were on the road 8 every morning, going to appointments with designers that I met. That was putting myself out there. That was well outside of my comfort zone, but it was exciting. It was it was actually great fun. Even me starting a YouTube channel, this is totally outside of my comfort zone, but I understand the benefits of this. So definitely put yourself out there. I was used to be really scared to advertise on my personal page, my business, but now I'm just like, you know, what if I don't advertise on my personal page? Who's going to advertise for me? You know, that's free advertising. So, and I found that when I did do that, I gained some followers on my business page. So people don't know, unfortunately, we're in a world that unless you put yourself out there, a lot of the times people don't actually know what you're doing. The next point is narrow down your ideal customer. This was quite challenging for me before, actually. I made a really poor decision trying to sell to everyone, which in the end you end up selling to no one, basically. Find out who your ideal customer is, and there are ways of doing this. There are several ways of doing this, which we can discuss in another video. But what you don't want to do is have a huge following, but half of them are not your ideal customer. Some people have somebody on Instagram that they consider the ideal customer. I know some people call it your customer avatar. It's the same thing. So basically, knowing who you're selling to, their likes, their dislikes, what they love to eat for breakfast, what sort of financial status are they in, you know, what's their family like, are they married, are they single, do they have several children, how many holidays do they like going on a year, do they even like traveling? You really want to know everything about them. The more you know about them, the more you can sell to them, if that makes sense. And I really wish I knew this before I started, because it just makes things so much easier. The next point, and the last point, is value your business, because so many people aren't going to value it, and that's the honest to God truth. If you're working with African prints like I am, so I'm working with a lot of prints, and if you're African, or if you're specifically Nigerian in my case, you know that you've sort of, a lot of the time we've grown up seeing these prints everywhere. We've grown up seeing Ankara everywhere, and so it's so easy to take this for granted and be like, oh, it's just Ankara, big deal. The reality is Ankara is such a beautiful fabric. There are so many other fabrics that's so beautiful. It's so easy for people who have grown up seeing the same fabric to take it for granted. So you need to value it. You need to understand how beautiful this is. If you're going to use it, whatever you're using, whatever material you're using, whatever you're coming up with, you need to be proud of your product, because the reality is, until you're proud of it, no one's going to be proud of it for you. You cannot wait for other people to give you validation. You have to just be confident about what you're selling. And the reality is, when you are confident about what you're selling, other people will join the bandwagon. A lot of the times people don't see value in things until they see other people see value in it. The reality is, until you value your business, nobody else will. So I really hope you found these points useful. I will be doing part 2 very soon, and part 2 is really juicy, and there'll be a lot of good points in it. So join me there and stick around for part 2. See you later, guys.